Hello, take two. Hello, my name is Cheryl. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. It is December 26th, 2022. Boxing Day for those who celebrate Boxing Day. I know that not every country does Boxing Day, but in Canada we do. Welcome! This is a bookish video, but I am going to be crocheting while I'm talking. So just a little bit about the crocheting just at the top here. Did I say my name is Cheryl? I'm sorry, I forgot. I've recorded this like twice already, but my camera keeps turning off, which I don't know why it does that, and then it doesn't save what I record, so it is 8:30 in the morning. I don't know if I said that. And I'm going to record my top 10 books that I read in 2022. But as for this, so my roommate got me some yarn for Christmas. She got me little 50 grams of yarn. She got me 12 of them. I'm so excited. And they're beautiful acrylic yarn, so I'm making a never-ending granny square. So I'm going to be crocheting on that while I talk to you about my books. So let's find out where we are in the... Here we are. Okay, so the top 10 books, they're not in any particular order apart from the top 3. The top 3 books are my top 3 books. This is getting kind of crooked. Okay, I know it's a bit crooked, I apologize. So, here are my top 10 books. So, number 10 is a whole series. And this series kind of shocked me because I am a Christian. It's not that I'm against the LGBTQIA plus community. I'm not. I feel like I know that God loves them no matter what, and I'm not against them in particular. So don't take this wrong. So I got FOMO when the Heartstopper TV show came out. So I went on the free site which has the web comics of Heartstopper. And I read them because I got FOMO and I wanted to read them before I watched the show. And I absolutely loved the stories. The romance between Nick and Charlie was just beautiful. The things they brought up about the LGBTQIA plus community was just wonderful. I thought it was really well done. I thought it wasn't too quote-unquote preachy to me, but not in the Christian preachy way, but in the way of like forcing me to believe in things I don't believe in and stuff like that. It was very well done. I did enjoy it. I was rooting for Nick and Charlie. I thought they were great together. Again, I am a Christian. Take that as you will. But it was something that I didn't think I would enjoy. I don't enjoy a lot of romances, especially if they've got graphic sex scenes. These did not have graphic sex scenes. Don't get me wrong. They were very YA and they were very great. I thought they dealt with real life problems and stuff that is happening. And I'm going all over. But anyways, I really enjoyed it. It was a bit of a surprise to me how much I enjoyed it. Just because I am a Christian. So I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much, being that it's about 2 gay boys and it's got a transgender teenager and some other gay people. I just didn't think I'd enjoy reading about it. But I did. I loved it. I watched the show after. I thought it was great. So, again, I'm not against people who are part of that community. I just don't usually enjoy reading about it. Because usually when you read about it, there's sex scenes in it. And I don't like reading straight sex scenes. I don't like reading sex scenes at all. But I thought since this was YA and everybody was saying it was so cute and wholesome, I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. And it was so good. You have got to read Heartstopper and watch the TV show. The actors they picked for the TV show, I think, are perfect for Nick and Charlie. Like, they represent exactly who I imagined they are in the book. And they look like the characters, too. And on the 4th book, I ended up getting it from the library because I loved it. And I wanted, in my own way, to support the author, even though I wasn't buying the book. I didn't feel like I should read it for free on the webcomic, which I know doesn't make sense because I got it for free from the library, but in my mind, it made sense, okay? And I do want to buy them someday. I do want to buy them because I thought they were great. And I'm still waiting for, I've got my library, I've got a hold on the yearbook, the Heartstopper yearbook. And then I think I've got on hold the Nick and Charlie novel. So I'm excited for that. So that's number 10. Again, not in any particular order. It's not number 10 in the list. It's probably more like number 5. But I did enjoy it. Okay, number 9. Again, in no particular order. These Silent Woods by Kimi, Cunningham, Grant. This was a beautiful book. Again, it was kind of a surprise. My friend Jess read it and... Okay, sorry about that. My camera, again, turned off. I don't know what's wrong with my webcam. It keeps turning off, and it's weird. But it did save the last clip, so that's good. Okay, so I was talking about These Silent Woods by, and I'll put the pictures up here, by the way, in case I haven't done that yet. Editing me, remember to put the pictures up. So, because I got all these books in the library. So, These Silent Woods by Kimi, Cunningham, Grant. This book was so good. Again, it was a bit of a surprise, although my friend Jess recommended it to me, and she said it was really good. And I usually trust what she feels, although she does like some spookier books than I like. But this one, she said, wasn't spooky, and it was more of a thriller, more of a mystery. And so... I got it from the library right away, and These Silent Woods is about a man named Cooper, and you find out that he is camping out, living at a little cabin in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, with his young daughter, and I forget her name. I'm not good at remembering characters' names. I'm quite surprised I remember the name Cooper. But they're living there, and they're very off the grid. They never go into town. She's never been into town. They're very off the grid. And she doesn't understand why. She just knows that if someone comes to the house, she has to hide in the little, not attic, what is that called? Cellar thing. So we go from the present where we know that Cooper is hiding from something, and it talks about the past. I think there's a second timeline. I don't remember for sure. But we eventually find out why they're hiding out, and it is a beautiful story. The ending just what's the word? I can't think of the word. Flabbergasted me. Sorry. It choked me up. It literally did choke me up. It was a beautiful ending. Throughout the book, we meet some characters that just tug at your heart. And one of the characters I thought was a bad guy all the way through the book. I thought he's going to turn out to be bad, and he ended up being good. And I just love that. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but sorry if it is. But the whole series, or the whole book, was just beautiful. It was so good. It was written beautifully. I can't think of what I'm going to say. The writing was just beautiful. The wording, like, as an author, I like to concentrate on words when I read physically. And the sentence structures, I'm kind of geeky and nerdy when it comes to that. I like reading books and going over the sentences and the structure and thinking, wow, that's a really good sentence. And that is definitely the kind of book that I could do that on. And I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Oh, I gave Heartstopper 5 stars, all 4 of them. I think all of these were 5 stars. Sorry, I still got a bit of a cold. Oh, did you like my pajamas? I got them from my stepmom. It says 'tis the season for sparkle. I mean, yeah, or to sparkle. I've been wearing them constantly since I got them. Okay, number 8 is The Invention of Hugo Cabre by Brian Selznick. Again, I'll put the picture up here. This was my first delve into Brian Selznick. Now, I found out about Brian Selznick from Carolyn Marie Reads, her channel. She is a bookish person, as a booktuber, as well as an artist. And she told us, not me specifically, but her channel, about Brian Selznick being her favorite, I think it was her favorite illustrator. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I apologize, Carolyn, if I'm wrong. But she was saying how great his books are. Now, his books, I wish I could show you because I don't have a copy of any of his books. I did read 3 or 4 of his books this year. And this one was my favorite because it was my first delve into him. So the what is it called? The Invention of Hugo Cabre. There is an adaptation. Is it adaptation or adaptation? I always get that mixed up. A movie made of this called Hugo, which I still haven't watched, but I want to watch. So this book is a book about a little boy named Hugo Cabre who, I think his dad died. I'm not sure. I don't know if I remember this correctly. And then his uncle was the clock changer. Like, he changed the times on the clocks in time, like a big train station or bus station or something. And I think he disappeared or died or something. So Hugo is left. He was living with his uncle. He is left to change the clocks. And he doesn't want anybody to know that he's living alone. Meanwhile, he has a automaton, I don't know how to pronounce that, which is kind of like the early 1900s robots. So this takes place in the 1900s. And his dad had made it before he died. And in this automaton, it writes out messages, but it's broken. And Hugo really believes that his dad left a last message for him before he died in that automaton. So he really wants to fix it so that it could write out the message that his dad left for him. So he'll do anything to fix the automaton, and so including stealing. So he steals some tools and things from this little toy shop, and the owner this happens right in the beginning. So the owner catches him, and makes him work for him to pay off what he stole. He then meets this man's granddaughter, I think, and they become friends, and she tries to help him fix the automaton. It goes in this big thing about movies, and it was so good. Now, the fun thing about Brian Selznick's books is half the book is put in illustrations, full-page illustrations, in black and white. Now, I wish I could show it to you. If I can find a picture of it, of one of the illustrations online, I will put it up here. But they're full-page illustrations, and so half the story is in words, and half the story is in pictures. So you just read for like 20 pages pictures that tells the story. And it's not like a comic where it has a picture and word bubbles. It's just the picture, but each picture tells what's going on. It is a beautiful book. They're thick, but the words are big, and again, half the book is in pictures. So they're easy to read. He also wrote Kaleidoscope and Wonderstruck. I think that's all the books I read of him, but I love his books. Oh my gosh. Kaleidoscope would be my least favorite. Wonderstruck I really enjoyed. But my favorite is The Invention of Hugo Cabre. And it was such a wonderful experience reading them. So good. I want to read more from him. I think I've read all of his books. I think. And I'm hoping he comes out with new ones this year. A new one this year. Number 7 is The Bookshock of Dust and Dreams by Mindy Thompson. Put the picture up here. This book is a middle grade. Hugo Cabre was a middle grade too, by the way. The Bookshop of Dust and Dreams is a historical fiction middle grade. This is about a little girl, not little, she's she's 11 or 12 probably. So when I say little girl, I meant like a 3-year-old, but no, she's 11 or 12. And her family runs a magical bookstore in the 1940s. So it is during the time of World War II. The magical bookstore is one of many magical bookstores in the country, in the world, that, of course, this is fiction, of course, but I wish it was real. But it's like a time-traveling bookshop. People can come in and out of the bookshop from different times of the world. So they can come from the future or from the past, and they can come into the bookstore and kind of have a community and look at books from 1940s and stuff. It's just wonderful. It's a wonderful, magical place. Well, her father gets sick, and so he has to leave, and her mother goes with him, and her and her brothers have to look after the house, the magical bookstore, because they live there as well. The bookstore itself is a character in its own. I love the bookstore. It was wonderful. It shows its feelings, which I just love, by like different things, like you'll like grow trees and stuff when it's happy. It's a wonderful bookshop. So what happens in this book is basically one of their family friends, who is the best friend of her older brother, dies in the war. And her brother wants to go back in time through the bookstore and make sure and hide the guy, the friend, so that he doesn't go to war and gets killed. That is against kind of the rules of bookstores, is to use your bookstore to change the future kind of thing. So it's all about that. It got a little dark, I think, for my taste for middle grade. I don't know if I would give it to 11 or 12-year-old, just because it got into World War II, which I have no problem with 11, 12-year-olds reading about World War II. There's just, it got a bit, it talked about bombing and stuff, and I just didn't enjoy it. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I didn't think a young child should read it. I think it's more meant 13, 14-year-old. I don't think like a 9, 10, or 11-year-old would like it, but the magical bookstore makes up for it. There is an evil kind of power going around, a spirit kind of thing. So if you're not allowing your children to read that kind of thing, then you may not let them read this book. But I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it as an adult. I really enjoyed it, and it was really good. I got spooky for a while there. Like, I get spooked out by middle grade books. Is that just me? I can't read adult horror books, and just a little bit of spookiness in middle grades freak me out. So, whereas probably kids would find it fun, I got spooked out. But I really enjoyed it, gave that 5 stars. So that is The Bookshop of Dust and Dreams by Mindy Thompson. Next we have a cozy mystery called Death in Castle Dark by Veronica Bond. I read the first 2 books in the series. That one in Deadly Castle Dark or something like that is the second book. There's only 2 books out in the series so far, and I am loving that series. So this is a cozy mystery series. Veronica Bond is a pseudonym for, I think it's Julianne Lindsay? I'm not sure. I can't remember who the pseudonym's for, but her writing is so good in this book. This is a cozy mystery series about a lady named Nora, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think her name's Nora. And she is an actress and a singer, and she loses her chance to get a really good job. So she moves, and she ends up getting a job at this theater group that does murder mystery parties, where they act out the mysteries and people have to guess who the murderer is and stuff. And they do this at an old Gothic like castle, and that's where they live and that's where they perform. And she goes there and moves in. And in the first book, she meets all the characters, all the people that she's working with, and someone dies. And in the actual murder mystery, someone actually dies, which I find kind of fun. And it was really well done. She tries to find out who killed them. What I like, my favorite characters in this series, and it was more in the second book than in the first book, but they do appear in the first book, is her twin brothers. They are hilarious. They come to visit at Castle Dark, and oh my gosh, they are hilarious. In the second book, their visit there was just so funny. I was LOLing out loud. I mean, LOL does mean laugh out loud. But I was LOLing. It was so cool. They are just my kind of kids. They're like teenagers. They're like 15 or 16 years old, and they're twins. And they are just hilarious. And they're such gentlemen. They protect Nora, like they're always trying to protect her. But they're teenagers. They're fun. They are so much fun. And they're not like the drama queen kind of teenagers. They're just fun kids. And I love them. They're my favorite characters. Again, they show up more. I think I love them more in the second book. But the first book, they show up as well. And they are just so cute. I love them. I wish they were my nephews. They were just wonderful. I mean, I do have great nephews. But I'm just saying, I wish I had more nephews and they were them. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. But anyways, the murder mystery was good. It kept me at the edge of my seat. I did not guess who the killer was until the very end, just before the reveal, which is the way I like it. I usually figure it out like 5 pages before the reveal, and I'm like, oh! And then the reveal, I'm like, yep, I was right. I usually, sorry. Oh, sorry. I can usually guess who the killer is early on. Sometimes, not usually, sometimes. But I never know why they did it or how. And so that's always the big reveal for me. Sorry, just drinking some water in my throat. I still have a bit of a cold. So, the reveal to me is not more of who did it, but more of why and how. And I really enjoyed that reveal. And actually, that book, I don't think I did know who did it. So that was a bonus. Okay, so that is Death in Castle Dark by Veronica Bond. Highly recommend if you like cozy mysteries. Number 5, It's Daughter the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tan. That is a wonderful book. This is a retelling of the Moon Goddess, which is a myth. I think... I'm not good at myths. I don't know. I think it might be Chinese myth, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But it was wonderful. Sorry. It was a wonderful book. I read it in like 3 sittings, which is good for me. I absolutely loved it. It is a book about the moon goddess who has a daughter, but nobody knows about the daughter because she's keeping her secret because she's been imprisoned on the moon. And nobody knows she has a daughter. And if anybody finds out, especially the emperor, then the celestial emperor, I think is what he's called, if they find out that she has a daughter, the daughter will be killed. So the story follows the daughter, the moon goddess, obviously. And she has to leave the moon because she's going to be found out soon. So she leaves. She finds out that her mother is imprisoned on the moon. She didn't know that. So she leaves and she's determined to find out how to free her mom from the moon and so that she can be free. She ends up at the Celestial Kingdom. Now, I'm getting that and Magic Steeped in Poison mixed up, so I think it's called the Celestial Kingdom. I'm not sure. That might be in Magic Steeped in Poison. But anyways, the big city. And she's trying to find out how to free her mom. And she finds out about a contest at a way to be kind of an apprentice at the... I'm going to say Celestial Kingdom. I don't remember what it's called. But the big place where the prince and the king and the emperor and everybody go. And I'm doing awful at describing this. But it's such a good book. But anyways, so she finds a way to get there and compete. And she ends up becoming kind of like the companion to the prince. And they become friends and maybe a little bit more. And she has to... If you win the competition, you get a favor from the king, I think, or from the emperor, and she wants to be able to ask him to free her mom. but she has to keep her identity a secret. And it's just a wonderful book. It's got dragons. It's got, it's slow in some ways and fast-paced in other. It's got a wonderful love story. It's got a love triangle, so if you're not into that, you may not like it. But I think it paid off really well. I enjoyed it. I, in the beginning, didn't like the one that she ends up with, but I did enjoy it at the end. I thought the reveal was really good. The plot twist in the love triangle, the plot twist that came with that was really well done. The writing, again, was beautiful. I think that's a theme for me this year, is the writing has to be beautiful. I have to really enjoy reading it and the words. Like, I've read a lot of physical books this year, and I think that's just because I enjoy reading the words and digesting the words and just enjoying the different sentence structures. Again, I don't know if anybody else is like that, other readers are like that, but me being an author, it's very important to me to enjoy reading the words that to have people enjoy reading the words I've written. And it's been a goal of mine in my writing to make my writing more beautiful, and not in the way that it's like a lot of big words, but just in a way that it flows and it just feels beautiful. And that's what I loved about that. Spoiler, my top book of the year has beautiful writing in it too, so you know, stay tuned for that. We've got to hurry up. So number 4 is The Woman in the Library by Sulari Gentill. Now, this book has a lot of low ratings, actually. I personally loved it. I read this in 2 sittings. It was such a good book. Oh my gosh. So this book is about, it's kind of hard to explain, and I'm still a bit confused about it, but I think about it all the time. So this book it's kind of a book in a book in a book. So you follow, okay, so it's, I don't know how to describe it. It's a woman writing a book, a mystery book. And the story is the mystery book she's writing. And then on separate chapters, in between chapters, she has a kind of critique partner giving ideas and giving his thoughts on the writing. His name was Leonard, I think. And so when you're reading the book that she's writing, you don't know if it's real life or if it's not, because she's using the first person pronoun, first person point of view, I believe. And she's using all the same names as the characters in real life that she's writing. So you don't know if it's real life or it's the book. It's very hard to understand. It's very hard to describe. There's a murder in the Boston Library. I think it's the Boston Library. And it's in the book and that she's writing, but she's using real people's names and real people that... It's so confusing. It is so good, though. And they have to solve who murdered the person in the library, because all of them were in the same room when it happened, but she suspects them. And it's a bunch of people. It's a found family. It's the guy that's writing the critique partner, gets kind of creepy and starts sending her gruesome pictures of murders, and that reveal was great, and the whole plot twist was great, and the ending, now this is why a lot of people don't like this book, because the ending is kind of open-ended. I really liked it. I thought it was perfect. I still think about that ending. It's been like 3 or 4 months since I read it, and I still think about it. It is such a good book. You just have to go into it not expecting to be confused. You know, you're going to be confused, but it's so good. So that was The Woman in the Library by Sulari Gentill. Number 3, so my top 3 books. Number 3 is The Seven Sisters by Lucinda Riley. This is a series I saw on, I think it was Books and Jams channel. I think it was Krista. I think it was Krista. She was talking about the Seven Sisters series, and I got the first book. I currently have the second book out from the library. I got the first book, and I loved it. So this is a book about six sisters, actually. The seventh sister hasn't come yet, and let me explain. So it's about this rich guy, this very, very rich guy, like wealthy guy. And he has adopted as babies six girls, and he's named them after the seven sisters in the stars, in the sky, that what do you call it, constellation? Or whatever. And he died before, he never got the seventh sister, but he says that she's out there. So that's kind of a mystery. So he dies, and the sisters come back to the little island they grew up on, and he leaves clues in letters to each of the sisters on where they were adopted, because they knew they were adopted, but they didn't know their history, where they were adopted from. He traveled all around the world and just picked up a baby wherever he went, kind of thing. So they don't know their history, their ancestry, their anything. And so this book is about Maya, I believe, and she finds out that she is from Italy, I believe. So she goes back there to find her biological mom. And it's two timelines. It's her trying to find her biological mother, who she finds out real soon is passed away. So she finds her grandmother, and it's all about finding out the history. And in the history part, the second timeline, it's about her great-grandmother. And it's her great-grandmother's love story. It is built around, the story is built around the erection of the Redeemer Cristo. Is that what it's called? The Cristo statue in Italy? I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called the Redeemer Cristo. The statue of Christ in Italy, which is beautiful. I looked it up. It's absolutely gorgeous. And so it's got a bit of historical fiction. It's historical fiction, but it's got a bit of real life into it. But it's definitely fiction. And so it's all, that plays a very important part in building, when they were building that in the story. Now this does have cheating in it, as far as like an affair. I don't like reading about cheating just because I don't agree with it. I don't think anybody really agrees with it. I don't agree with cheating. I was kind of there for the relationship, though. The only reason is she was kind of, the great-grandmother was kind of forced into a marriage, a loveless marriage. She did not love him. He was not a very good guy. And she fell in love with another man. And the good part I found is she did stay with her husband, which is kind of a spoiler. I'm sorry, I just shouldn't have said that. But I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. It was a really good book. It was 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. I don't know how to edit these, so I can't cut that out. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that, but it's a really good love story. It's also got present time. Maya's having a love story as well. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. And so I'm eager to read the second book, which is The Storm Sister, which talks about another one of the sisters past. And there's like 7 books in the series, I think. So I'm looking forward to reading that. Number 2 is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. Now, I do realize there's controversy with this author. From what I've heard and what I've read, she is wanted in another country for questioning about a murder. I obviously am against murder, obviously. And so I don't really want to support her, but at the same time, I loved this book. And I'm the kind of person who can separate artist from artwork. So I am putting it as my second favorite because I got a huge book hangover at the end of this book. So Where the Crawdads Sing is a movie now. If you haven't seen the movie, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm looking forward to watching it someday. Where I am, you have to pay for it, so haven't paid for it yet. But Where the Crawdads Sing is about a little girl whose family kind of leaves her. Her mom deserts her when she's young. Her dad leaves later on, and she has to grow up in this swamp. Not swamp, marshland. And in the middle of nowhere. And this story is a slow-growing story about her growing up in this marsh alone. There's a second timeline in 2016, I think, I'm not sure, where she has grown up, she's an adult, and she's being charged for murder. So this book, in the past timeline, is very slow, but it is also incredibly beautiful. And the ending to the book, I won't spoil it like I spoiled the last one. I won't spoil it, but the ending was so powerful, and I just cried. I think I literally did cry. It had me in a book hangover for 2 weeks after. It was so good. And I want to reread it. It was so good. And then my number one book, I actually have the physical book of because I haven't brought it back to the library yet. I did read it this month in December, and it is the best book. It is, I will say, my second favorite book of all time. My first favorite is Anne of Green Gables. It will always be Anne of Green Gables. The second book is also by Lucy Maud Montgomery, or L.M. Montgomery, and that is The Blue Castle. This is the large print edition, and this beautiful edition. The Blue Castle is such a good book, and I forgot how much I love L.M. Montgomery's writing. Oh, sorry. Again, the writing is just beautiful. The descriptions of the nature is just gorgeous. You feel like you're there. The characters are such likable, and there's some unlikable characters. And the characters are so well described, not only in their appearance, but their personality. They each have a different personality, and I strive to be able to write like that. Like, it is just the most beautiful. It is a funny book. It's about a girl, a 29-year-old, I believe, named Valancy Sterling. And she lives in a life in the, I think it's late 1800s, early 1900s. And she lives in a proper life, quote-unquote proper. So she isn't married, so she's considered an old maid. She lives with her mom and I think her aunt or cousin or something. And her dad passed away, or doesn't exist. He didn't pass away. He left them, I believe. And she lives a proper life, doing all the right things. She's a proper Christian woman, doing everything right. She does not like the life she lives, though. She finds it constraining, and she feels like she's trapped. She wants to be able to go out and enjoy life. And she starts having pain in her heart, like literal pain, like chest pain. So she goes to the doctor, and the doctor, at the same time, his son is in a car accident. So he has to leave without telling her the diagnosis. So he sends her a letter, and she finds out she's dying. So that all happens in the first couple of chapters. So she knows she's dying, so she's like, well, I'm going to live my life and have fun while I can. So she ends up meeting the most wonderful characters that her mom and her cousin are very judgmental and disagree with and disapprove of. And she ends up falling in love. And the love story in this was so good. Again, it's clean romance, so there's no... I don't even think there's any mention of sex, even though they are married. They do get married in this book. She does get married. There's no sex scenes. It is the most beautifully written book. It is so good. Again, it's very character-driven. Not a lot happens, although in a way a lot happens, but it's carried out throughout the whole book, so it doesn't seem like a lot. It's not fast-paced is what I'm trying to say. There are some very funny moments where I LOL'd. I mean, there are some very funny moments. There are some sad moments. There is a death in this book, so if that's a trigger, then you may not want to read this. There is it was beautifully written, though, and it was really well done. I did cry at the death. It was really well done. This book, the ending was, like, if you like groveling in your romances, this book, the ending, total groveling. It is so good. And, oh my gosh, I just want to reread it again. And this is the large print edition, which I love because I'm old. And I just want to reread it again. I might reread it for New Year's. It might be my first book of the year because I just want to reread it. It is so good. So again, that is The Blue Castle by L.M. Montgomery. I think I can easily say that L.M. Montgomery is my favorite author of all time. I think I can finally say that. I've only read the Anne series and this book. I do have some more books that are coming out from the library that I'm going to read. And I'm also doing a vlog for a reread of the Anne series. So you can look forward to that. I don't think I've read the last 2 books of the Anne series. So I'm looking forward to rereading the first 6 and then reading the last 2. So yeah, oh my gosh, this book is so good. So that is my top 10 books of 2022. Here is, I didn't do much, but I'm enjoying doing this granny square. I haven't crocheted for quite a while, so this is really nice. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful end of the year. I will see you soon with a vlog that's leading up to Christmas. And, yeah, have a great day. Hope you had a wonderful holiday. Love you all. God bless.